Hello everybody and welcome back to another Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde run. Today we're actually going to be doing a dot build. Dots. I've heard they're powerful. I've seen some power in them, but compared to some other things, I don't think they're going to stack up. But we're going to see, and we're actually going to focus solely on dots. We're not actually going to have any support for the dots. The dots will include the dot from Orbital Fire, it will be the dot from Tangled Vines, and it will be the dot from the Magic Mines. We will not increase the damage of any of these abilities if it is not the dot damage. The Vines are exclusively dot damage, so that is fine. And the Orbital Fire, you cannot actually increase the dot damage, but the tick rate for the dot, and that's what we will be increasing. The Mines, the main damage of the mine, does get very high, but the dot damage is what we will be increasing, and only increasing. For a fourth weapon, we're going to snag probably Grand Hex, just so it's basically the least interfering ability to get. Anything else would either kill too much or do too much damage to things we don't want to. We want to primarily focus on these dots, and Orbital Fire will be our starting weapon. I will be focusing primarily on Orbital Fire to begin with, just to get its speed and range up, so we can actually hit things without getting hit ourselves. And we're going to be playing on Vivian to maximize our experience, since we have 3 weapons to level up. That being said, many characters, 50% bigger or 20% speed, very impactful for the Orbital Fire, but because we're trying to just maximize the amount of damage of these dots, not the actual physical damage, because bigger means it hits more. We don't care about it hitting more as long as it gets the dot on. Speed means it hits more. We don't care about it hitting more, we just want to get the dot on. I guess bigger could get the dot on too. But we're going to go for more blue souls. We're going to play on the Highlands, on hard, and see how it goes. I want to kill some chickens and some rats. So let's just get this show on the road. And it should start fairly easy, as most runs do. I am terrible early on with the fire until you get some speed. So we're going to see how it goes, and we're going to pick up the vines right off the bat. I'd like some actual size and speed increases. I do want this to get rather large and fast rather quickly, so we can maximize on Vivian's ability and gain as much as possible. I will pick up the mines as soon as I see them, just so we have them done. And here's our first dot increase for the fire, so we're actually going to take that. I do like getting a lot of AoE on the vines as early as possible too, just for some protection. But hey, who needs protection when you're just killing the things anyway? We got the vines, we're good. Let's make sure we kill these big packs, and we're getting some speed. Still haven't seen the mines. They will show up, however. I have no doubt in my mind about that. Again, we saw a damage increase for the Orbital Fire. We do not care about that, and we will re-roll. Luckily, we have the starting gold that has been added. Wow. Get that out of the way. Nah, it'll show up later. We'll also collect some more gold, and we'll use our gold primarily for re-rolls. And there's the mines. Fantastic. There's one other thing that we want with gold. Most of the time, shops hold, resources and things. It's great. We will be going for one pet in particular, and that is the Voodoo for the dot damage increase. Obviously, if we're focusing on dots, if we can increase its damage however we can, let's make sure we can increase it to its maximum potential. Ooh, we are running low. Let's just pick this up so we do not get locked again, because that was a close one. And let's keep it moving. We do have the chickens wave starting. In about 30 seconds we should get the rats and everything else, which is going to be fantastic. Don't know why I'm 9. Oh, there we go. It was actually in a few seconds. Rats are going to be great for our experience. That's what we want to see. We want more speed, kill more rats, build up this impenetrable wall of fire. That way we can just collect all this delicious, delicious experience. And no damage there, no damage there, no damage there. I guess reroll. There we go. More speed. Now we can actually stand still. Most things can't get in, which is fantastic. Bigger size, always a good thing. And now we sort of have our experience generator on target. I'm waiting for more dot tick cooldowns. I am looking forward to that. For the larger enemies, the dots will come into play, obviously, because they have a lot more than 12 hit points in heroic mode. Not to mention the fact that they will gain 10% HP every minute. So while they may die in the beginning, by the end, is not going to happen. Let's start working on the dot damage of the mines. Cooldown, fantastic, but let's get some dot damage. Again, we're still at the point where the base damage will carry us quite a bit, but once we get some dot damage under our belt, and a few more minutes pass, even the swordsmen here, they will survive the actual physical hits of the orbital fire. So I just want to stay within this chest, get some more gold, hopefully find a shop with a hoodoo. More dot speed, fantastic, get that going. I do find the dot of the orbital fire exceptionally weak. However, looking at how fast you can get the speed of it, it does appear you can get the speed down to about 0.1 seconds, so it's ticking very fast. So weak or not, it's that was in there. Look at me. Weak or not, it ticks so fast that it adds up. Unfortunately for dots, they can't crit. So any of these beautiful yellow numbers that we see that are triple the damage, ooh, we're gonna go with that. Nothing is very useful here. I mean, the chests, I love lockpick for opening chests, so let's just go with that. We have a fantastic farm wave coming, so we're going to get a whole lot of levels. Unfortunately, we have to use some of our rerolls just to get through some bad levels, but that's what rerolls are there for, and that's why we need all the gold possible. Boss is already dead. Piece of cake. Well, cooldown it is. More mines, more good. Again, mostly care about the dots, though. Obviously, more mines is more opportunity to put dots on them. AoE size on the vines, fantastic. Vines do have a few other upgrades possible, be it number and things like that. Number is amazing on the vines, but there is essentially a soft cap, in my opinion, on the number. Once you hit past about 5 or so, like right now as you saw, so right now I'm walking along the vines, and if we had one more, we would basically hit the very end of it. If we had 2 more, we'd hit the end of it and have a little bit of wiggle room. So once you hit 5, I'd say you're solid on the amount of vines for your own personal walking venture. Of course, if you get walking speed, this will change things. But I would say 5 is sort of the magical starter number. 4 can be the starter number, depending on how many area increases you get as well. Because obviously, the bigger they are, the longer it would take to walk through. But I would say 5 is the magical number. 6 is also a fine number as well. But I wouldn't go too many more than that, because they will go so far off the screen that you'll never catch them. So I'm not saying it's pointless, because they will potentially kill things, but it's not going to add up quite like other things. Your levels can be better spent elsewhere. Make sure we pick up all this delicious gold, get a mine to kill anything that comes near us, and increase her. So with our speed right now, none of this, even the faster fairies, can catch up to us. Well, that can catch up to us, I just mean can get close to us, unless we are moving. Moving is the deadly part. So if you do find yourself going orbital fire and getting to a point where you're saying, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed, if you have something like mines to clear off the things that are on you, then stand still just for a hot second. You know, maybe gain a level that gets you that thing that you need in order to start moving again, whether you're working with cleave, or you're working with spears, or you're working with something else. Standing still will almost certainly be your best method for being impenetrable. As you can see right here, perfectly fine. The only other time where standing still may not be key is if you're in a phase where mobs can spawn on top of you. Clearly, something orbiting far away, and you standing still is not going to help if it spawns right on top of you or right next to you. But that's what the mines are for. You will drop a few mines below you, and with that, hopefully anything that does spawn nearby just gets exploded, gets killed, easy peasy. Really, see, this base damage, I do not believe affects dot damage, unfortunately. So we are going to go for move speed, hopefully find a shop. I do tend to see Hoodoo in shops more often than not. I don't know why. They kind of like him. Fingers crossed he's here. And look at that. Boom. Hoodoo. Right off the bat. And, hey, let's get more experience. Why not? Damage reduction. I'd rather have Hardy. That's my personal preference. Gold. I mean, more gold, more good. I know it's a little weird to say, but in my philosophy, I transfer gold into blue crystals in shops. Plus, in this run, I may be re-rolling quite a bit. So, I don't normally suggest the gold pet. But for this run, I think it will be useful, because should we get to a point where we have all Grand Hexes, or all just damage increases or something, because our goal is not to increase damage, it's dot damage that we care about, and we are going to get rank 2 Hoodoo. Perfect, that is exactly what we wanted to see. So as we can see, the dots from the orbital fire are already ticking for 5. On these eyes down here. So let's just give that a go right here. See how they're ticking for 5, ticking away. Just give them a little... Oh. Okay, those exploding bugs did not want him to get hit. You can also see the 12s coming off of him, or they were. I believe that was from the magic mine, but it might have also been from the orbital fire. There was a lot going on. Unfortunately, we're still in a phase where a lot of things, nothing is really getting to the mines, but that will change when we get to the boss. Oh yes, that will change when we get to the boss. So this is all prep for that final boss right now. Let's get more cooldown, more mines, more good as they explode. As you can see, the dots ticking very, very fast. We should still have another dot speed increase, which will make the dot tick astronomically fast. More mines, more good. Bigger mines, also more good. But I think just having more is more beneficial, because as I'm walking, I don't care how big they are if they blow up something behind me. I'd rather just have another one. Dot damage. Oh, so they are doing 15 damage on their dots, so that is very good. The mines will do the most dot damage of anything around, but they are also the hardest to hit for dot damage of anything around. Because for that, things have to get... Oh, and there we go. We get our 0.5 second dot speed. Look at the 5s tick away. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Ah, then he's dead. So, dots do work. Anything that gets hit with this orbital fire will most likely die just from the dot that is left on it. Very nice to have. I do fully support the dots in this regard. I think if you're going to choose between orbital fire damage and dot speed increase, if you get 1 to max, dot speed increase will actually generate more damage overall than increasing the orbital fire damage base. If you're going to go for both, obviously, because in this case, getting another 10 damage on the orbital fire would be fantastic. It's huge, it's going so fast, it'll hit multiple things. Let's get to that magical 5 number as well. It doesn't matter. But if you're only going to go for 1, it's very easy to say, well, I just want to kill things faster. So I want to hit it more, and it hits hard. But the dot damage actually, at very low levels, is terrible. But at very high levels is amazing. It's very much the story of this game and cooldown reduction. There are a lot of weapons in this game that start off mediocre, start off kind of terrible. You know, again, I use bone as my main example as a terrible weapon. As a baseline weapon, it is horrible. It fires 2 bones that do very small damage just above and below you over a second, every second or so. Again, this is assuming upgrades. But at max level, just maxing cooldown, firing between 20 and 40 bones, I don't even know. It's negative cooldown. It's negative time to cast, so I don't officially know what that means. It is an incredible boss killer. So, does that make it great? Yes, as a boss killer. Is it great other than that? No. And that's perfectly fine. It has a very specific use. And I think that's the big key. It's not in the fact that it has to be the one-stop shop to do all. Perfect time for a reroll. We have so much gold thanks to the pet. Doesn't even matter. Look at this. Damage, damage, size, damage. I guess we need another 500 reroll. Thankfully, rerolls max at 500. So, we're actually in a good place there. We have enough money that we can handle pretty much anything that comes. The vines are getting larger. We do want to get the vines some more damage, which we will. AoE size it is. Let's see, where is a boss? He spawned. You get stuck on the rock up here? We shall see. Now, Mr. Boss. Well, I guess the boss doesn't want to come out to play right now. Cooldown on the mines is at 6, so we can actually get this down another 0.8, which will take it to 1.1. Area on the vines is 5. Let's keep getting the vines up, because those will be actually the hardest to hit the boss with, strictly because they come out of you at random directions. So you can't, with the mines, I can put them down and say, hey boss, come on boss, get over here. For the vines, though, that's not the case. I just have to hope that they go in the right direction. So let's keep that going. Let's get some more dot damage on them, which is fantastic. And as you can see, not a lot, but there are enemies that are surviving the hit from the orbital fire, and then you just see a whole lot of 5s. Like these enemies, they get hit, and then you see 4 or 5 5s, even before it spins around again, and it is spinning quite quickly right now. So the AoE speed on the orbital fire is incredible. Or the AoE, not AoE speed, the dot tick rate is incredible. It is, again, I believe, more damage increase over increasing the damage at max level. Especially if you do get Hoodoo. I mean, Hoodoo does play a role here, as they are ticking for 5 instead of the baseline 3. But Hoodoo is also a very easy pet to get if you are going to focus on this dot style. Again, I probably wouldn't suggest focusing on a dot style. This is, as you can see, I mean, things are getting to me. I'm not really focusing on all of the dots. I don't care about staying in the vines, thankfully, because of the dot speed of the orbital fire. Even the large enemies are getting killed. The green slimes here. Hold on. The green slimes with the swords, they have a decent amount of health. They are getting chunked. But at the same time, any weapon be it the bow, the spear, you know, any of the general hitting weapons, the clearers. I mean, all these enemies would be dead in a hit or two anyway, so what's the point of a dot at that point? So it's mostly for bosses, and even then, it's primarily for the end boss. It is nice though, and just seeing, hey, it's alive, it's alive. Oh, it died before it got to me. Again, number, we're at 5. Let's actually do a little walk test once it spawns, so it's over here. I can't get to the end. I'm going to stop, walk up. I stop around the 4. So 5 for me is enough. Again, if I had no other options, I'd probably pick up a 6th. You know, like if this was number, damage or something, I'd probably pick up a 6th, but not really necessary. Again, I do think a 6th is warranted, just in the fact that you can get close to the end. And if you want, instead of getting close to the end, getting literally to the end, or to have a bit more leeway in how you're walking, like I can go down here, and if you wanted that little bit more space in front of you that was safe because the vines were there, then I can definitely understand and think that is a valid option to go for. But for what we're doing right here, it is not necessary in the slightest. So, we're doing pretty good on levels. Where are we at? We're at 18 on the vines, 6 on damage, AoE is at 9, 31 on the orbital fire, so that is actually maxed out right now. Dot damage and cooldown on the mines is maxed, so all we need left is AoE on the mines. Again, we are not going to increase its damage of the explosion once. It is 4 damage per upgrade, so it is 40 damage. Taking those explosions from like 16 or whatever to in the 50s, critting for hundreds in the 50s. It's nuts. But that's not what this is about. And then here, we just need a few more points of dot damage, a little bit more AoE, and then, you know, maybe we'll get another number or 2. Again, not important. But we're basically built at this point. The dot damage on the vines is... okay, I got another number. The dot damage on the vines will be our last official thing that we need. So good on the build. Get some more AoE size. We are coming towards the end. I do hope to be able to get a few more dot damages on the vines. I'd like to max out its damage for the boss. I think that will help. But the boss will have around like 4,200 hit points, 3,800 hit points, something like that. So we can see how these dots fare. Now again, it's not a fair comparison comparing to a boss killer weapon, but at the same time, that is the design of those weapons, as far as I believe. Boss killer weapon being the arrow, the bone, and the shuriken. Arrow and bone can kill a boss in under about 2 seconds, I would say. The shuriken can kill a boss in slightly more time, maybe like 3 seconds or so. But I do not think we're going to get 3 seconds for dot damage. Again, dots damage over time. They're not the instant killers. But I'd like to see how well they do in terms of chunking the health over time as a support. Because early on, especially before you have all the meta upgrades, having a dot on a boss can be the difference. For instance, say you had orbital fire on the boss. And if you're able to put a max level dot on the boss every time he comes by from orbital fire, that most likely will be a couple hundred damage every time he comes by, without problem. So that's a huge increase to push yourself over that limit with whatever weapon you're using. The boss killers, be it shuriken, arrow, and bone, do need meta progression to get to the point where they're the boss killers to get to negative cast time. Do I want another number? I mean, I like to go for AoE size of the mines if possible. And ask and ye shall receive. Make sure we get those hits in. I should also just stock up on a little bit of health. Not play it so fast and loose, so to speak. I don't know how this is going to go. I've never run a dot build before, other than I've gotten a couple points into it when I was just messing around of Orbital Fire. I've never actually done the full dot mines and the full dot vines. Usually vines stay pretty low. So he's already in the vines. He's taking some hits from the mines. And his health is, you can see, it's just staying down pretty well. We do have enough damage, AoE size, or enough knockback from the mines to keep ourselves safe, which is fantastic. He is steadily going down. But at the same time, they are getting rather close for my comfort. Thankfully, this boss is very weak to knockback. Again, the mines are fantastic for knockback. It is one of the best parts about them, and we can actually see, not hitting him, his health is going down fairly well. Is it a boss killer? Well, I mean, we killed a boss, so I can't say it isn't. But it's not the be-all, end-all of boss killers. As far as runs go, that's a solid amount of runes. Orbital Fire made it very easy to walk around. And again, this is Orbital Fire without any damage. Just dots. This is roots. Only 2 number. Just AoE and dot damage. Magic Mine, again, just dot damage, cooldown reduction. And a little bit of AoE. The one thing I will say is, without Hoodoo here, I don't know if the boss would have fallen. The 5s being 3s for the Orbital Fire might have swayed the fight. It was getting a little small for my comfort. Definitely could have survived 2 or 3 more decreases of the old cage. But at the same time, that going from 3 damage to 5 damage just on this one weapon alone, I mean, that's a 66% increase right there. So, I don't know. Hoodoo is MVP right now. So, that is a dot build, though. Successfully completed. Boss is done. I should have shown this before, but before we did this, this number was 1073. We did this zone. It's still 1073. I don't know what's going on with this talent. I really want to unlock it. It's the last thing I need for all abilities. Granted, it is just one more tornado, so it's not game-changing. It's just nice to start off with one more. So, the next video I do will actually be another talent review. It will be the last one of initial reviews of the talents, and that will be for what? It'll be for Tornado, and what's the last one that I have to do? Oh my god. I don't even know. It is Tornado and Bone. Oh, I never actually did the review of Bone. I talk about it so much, but I've never actually done a review of it. So it's going to be Tornado and Bone Shot, focusing on those. We're going to use Tornado to keep things at bay, and we're going to use Bone Shot in order to destroy all bosses. So, Tornado for the weak enemies, Bone Shot for the hard enemies. It's going to be a fun run, only focusing on those 2 weapons. So, that'll be coming up in the next day or so. So, thank you very much if you stayed this long, and have a wonderful day.